We are in draft season. I want to go round by round here with you. Who would you take and why? Chris Olave versus Devonta Smith.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Fantasy drafts are happening right now, man. We are in draft season. You know what I'm saying? And I want to go round by round here with you and talk about two wide receivers that are very close in range, going round by round. Okay, so who would you take and why? This one's getting a little crazy here, but how about Chris Olave versus Devonta Smith? Again, wide receiver 12-13 according to 4for4 ADP. Olave last year, 119 targets, 72 receptions, 1050 through the air and 4 touchdowns. Devonta Smith, 136 in terms of targets, 95 catches, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns. We've seen Devonta Smith put together a great season, yet Chris Olave going slightly ahead of Devonta Smith in recent drafts.
And I'm with that too. I have Chris Olave ranked slightly higher than Devonta Smith, pretty simply because he's the one on his team. I did the same thing with Jalen Waddle, where Jalen Waddle is a great second fiddle, but I do think he is a second fiddle. Even if he's a 1B receiver, he's still the 1B in that duo. Same with Devonta Smith. I think even if you think he could be a number one, and I think when we talk about the number 2 receivers in the NFL, like number 2, 1B receivers, I think that like Devonta Smith is actually the best player there. But Chris Olave is a 1. He's the 1 for the New Orleans Saints, and he's a truly great player. I just think he's on like a star trajectory, superstar trajectory. He's going to join that club this year. I was tempted to put him even at the bottom of tier 2 in my rankings, along with like St. Brown and Garrett Wilson. It's just I think that there's just a small tiebreakers there. I love Olave, man. I think he is, again, if he has a top 5 season this year, I'm not going to be surprised just because he's really that good. And Derek Carr, again, I think saves the floor. I think it gets Chris Olave more involved in the short to intermediate area. We want him running more of those routes than he was last year, just from like a consistency and high statistical impact game standpoint, because we know he can rip it deep. And I think Carr will be a little bit better than Andy Dalton at pushing him the ball downfield vertically as well. So I love Chris Olave, man. He has been a great second round pick to me.
Chris Olave, 75.8% success rate versus man coverage. Matt Harmon, this guy was top 10 as a rookie in 2022 in terms of success rate versus man. Can you talk about how rare is it to see somebody, again, just kind of break that mark? Approaching 76% as a rookie is pretty tough to do.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, we've seen guys like Tyler Lockett do it. We've seen guys like obviously Justin Jefferson do it. Those are some historical rookies that get to that level and they go on to become great players, of course. I really think like Chris Olave's rookie season was that good I think that he's in a perfect situation too, because I think this Saints offense has just enough around him to keep, defenses honest, right? Like their tight end room is kind of sneaky stacked. Do you see Jimmy Graham turning the clock back the other night? Yeah.
By the way, not only is he old, not only, did he miss the game for a year or whatever it was, the guy comes in like literally not just off the street, but out of a jailhouse. Like, what the hell? This dude got arrested a couple of weeks back. Like, what the hell? He's out here just catching touchdowns. What's going on with Jimmy Graham? I don't understand. This is crazy.
I know. And when he signed, a bunch of people were like, wait, is this a 1 year or 1 day, like to retire as a Saint? But that tight end room is kind of sneaky stacked if Jimmy Graham can give them anything, because Juwan Johnson's intriguing. Foster Moreau, they brought over on a contract. Obviously play with Derek Carr in the Las Vegas Raiders. The running back room has a ton of names in it, especially once Kamara gets off suspension. And we've talked about Michael Thomas. I'm not bullish on Michael Thomas this year, but if he can play and be a complementary piece, it gives him an option. Rashid Shaheed gives him an option. A.T. Perry's interesting to us as a developmental X receiver, but like none of these guys are going to come close to competing with Chris Olave, who could see like a 28% target share in this offense this year, because he's that level of player. So I think he has top 5 receiver upside, whereas I think Devonta Smith, like an injury would have to occur for him to have top 5 receiver upside.